We're at the second annual Whiskey Rebellion benefit for Garrett. Round of applause for all of you coming out. A round of applause to the whole Sinagra family for being here and all the hard effort they got. I want to bring up somebody that's very important for this benefit. If it wasn't for her, this would not be possible. She worked her ass off year out for this. Put your hands together for Caroline, everybody. Come on up here.
And I want to reach out some love tonight because this night's in honor of Garrett, but it's also in honor of your loved ones. And I'm so happy you could be here, and I'm so sorry that we had to meet under these circumstances. But I want to remember your loved ones tonight as well. Dr. Pon should be here shortly, and if anybody hasn't heard of Dr. Pon, her research is really new, innovative. So essentially there hasn't really been a whole lot of new medicine released since the last advent of SSRIs about 30 years ago. Medical health research has really fallen far behind. So much of it is just focused on physical illnesses, cancer, some of those things we're a lot more familiar with. And the sad part is that so many people, I guarantee you every single person in this room, whether you know it or not, is very close to someone who is suffering with some really severe depression and has probably considered taking their life at one point or another. And I hope that didn't come to fruition, but if it did, I'm very sorry, and I'm glad you could be here tonight to remember those people and fight against the disease that killed them.
And so I just want to talk a little bit about the work I'm doing that you're helping to fund. We started this work because of a young man who was very much like Garrett, who had multiple suicide attempts though, and had a very long history of depression. He, maybe a little bit different from Garrett, had had trials of every medicine we had available, and he'd had all the treatments we had available, so even things like electroconvulsive therapy. And he only got better for 4 days after he had that kind of a treatment. And when he got so bad after the 5th day, we had to have him go to the hospital because he wasn't safe to be outside. And in the hospital, he was on, at one point, 17 medicines because they were trying to keep him safe. And when I saw him there and I realized that not only were the medicines not doing anything, but they also weren't causing any side effects, I realized that something had to be different about him. And so because of him, we found out that there are a whole bunch of metabolic disorders that we can find in the central nervous system that seem to be associated with depression and suicidal behavior. And we also know from the work that we've been doing in the lab that the brain in people who've had suicide attempts functions completely differently than people that are healthy, and also differently than people that are depressed but haven't had suicide attempts. And so what I think is really important about the work I'm doing and about the work that Caroline's doing to spread the new information about suicide is that we know it's a disease. It's not a choice, it's not a behavior. And so we're kind of at the tip of an iceberg right now, but we're starting to really understand the pathophysiology of what's going on in the brain and in the central nervous system that can be causing this kind of despair and this kind of a depression. And I just really thank you all for helping to contribute to what we're doing, because a lot of what we do happens in silence. And with the work you're doing, people are starting to talk about this as an illness. And that means a great deal to me. So I want to thank you and thank Garrett, honestly, for all the work that's being done here. And I really appreciate it. Thanks.